Review. Right, so here is the new Farish 8F. Well, this is the 06 version, the LNER version. But also I've been lent this Sound 8F as well to have a look at, so we'll have a look at that shortly. To unbox, it's quite simple. You just get this piece of card off. Right, yeah, right, card off. And then the plastic lid comes off. Then you slide the piece of plastic out and then open out, and then there's your model. So for this review, I had a look at Locomotives Illustrated issue number 40, the LMS 8F280s, and I can tell you from my untrained eye, because Stanley locomotives don't really interest me that much, that Farish have managed to capture the rather plain shape of an 8F absolutely perfectly. This thing is exquisite. It's got a coreless motor and it's got traction tyres on the third driving axle, and it's well detailed throughout. The rods don't look too thick or too thin. I can't see any particular details missing. There's full cab interior detail as well. And for those who wish to add to it, there is a little bag with some extra bits and pieces such as coupling hooks, snow plows and front steps. So one of the real things that's impressed me with this, I mean not just with this but with previous Farish models, is how easy it is to DCC fit. It's even easier than the last offering, which was the C-Class. And all you do is you just pull the tender body off like so, pop up the blanking plate, push down your chip, and then put the tender body back on. It's that simple, as you can see. And I think that Farish is a world leader in this. I don't think any other company makes it quite this easy at the moment. So after DCC fitting, I took the engine out onto the layout and coupled it to a 40 wagon goods train, and it ran perfectly smoothly and fine, even straight out the box without any running in, as you can see here. And now I'm about to conduct the acid test, and the acid test is taking it onto the 1 in 65 gradient, stopping it about halfway up with the train sat on the gradient, and then seeing if it will restart with the 40 wagons. So as previously mentioned, this engine has a coreless motor and traction tyres. The coreless motor drives the third driving axle and the traction tyres are on the rearmost driving axle. So the traction is fantastic, but as you can see here, it is really on the edge. If the traction tyres weren't there, it wouldn't be able to do this, but it is pulling away. However, I would say for the sake of comfort to probably reduce the train from 40 down to probably 35 or 30 if you're running a 1 in 65 gradient. The performance I would say is pretty good, because on most layouts you wouldn't have much more than say 30 wagons in a goods train anyway. So to sum up, this latest offering from Farish is very, very good, up to their normal standards. If anything, slightly better than the C-Class in terms of the rod thickness being better, and I can't criticise it on any front at all really. It looks great, it performs well, it's got traction tyres so it can pull stuff, and the DCC conversion is the easiest ever. It's great. However, I'm now going to move on to talking about the sound fitted version. So the sound version is a British Railways Lake Crest version for the boomers really, so they can model what they remember. And it's executed just as well as the LNER one we looked at before, with all the same level of detail and everything. One thing to note about it, so it comes with a DCC sound chip, a Zemo sound chip fitted, but in the accessory bag there is a blanking plate. So if you bought one of these and wanted to just run it DC, you've got the means to do so straight away, and you just reverse the process shown earlier in the video to DCC Fit to take the sound out of the model. Also, alternatively, if you wanted the sound chip, which is not available separately, which I think is a bad thing, it should be available separately, you could buy one of these, take the sound chip out, fit the blanking plate, which is in the box, and then sell it on some well-known auction site or similar as a DCC ready model. So it gives you extra flexibility, because getting blanking plates on their own can sometimes be expensive and problematic. So it's a nice touch that for the inflated price tag, they've left that in and given you the flexibility. Anyway, this is what you're here for, to see it run and hear what it sounds like. So I'm keen not to talk over it, because the whole point of a review video is so that you can see it running but also hear the sound. This is the advantage we have over, say, a magazine where you can write about it and you just have to believe what's written. Anyway, do you like what you see so far? For this video I didn't adjust the chuff rate because I don't know how to, and it doesn't say how to in the instructions, and I didn't change the volume, I just left it as is. So this is exactly as it is out the box. And all I can say is, on the plus side, for a factory fitted steam model, this has probably got the most in-sync chuff I've ever seen for any British model. It is not perfect, not 100% there, but it's much closer than many other models have been in the past. And I certainly would be happy to live with the rate as it is and not adjust it. The quality of the sounds themselves too are very, very good. As you can hear, the recording's very well captured, and the speaker does them justice, I feel, particularly considering how small the engine is. But I'm afraid this is where the positives end, because the chip, I feel, is very badly formatted. So there is a lot of variety in the sounds. We've got 28 functions on here, and they're all sound functions. The brake also is actually a brake, and will bring the loco to a stand, which is a good touch. But other than that, there are lots of sounds which should just happen, and the chip doesn't seem to run very much off of back EMF, or they're not doing as much with it as they could do. So you find that when driving it, you spend the whole time looking up and down this list of 28 sounds, trying to think what you realistically need at any moment, and then flicking through your controller to try and press the relevant button. Also, a lot of lower end and cheaper controllers only have 9 buttons, or 9 functions easily to hand, and of the ones that they picked, there is a single whistle, for example, on function 4, but there is no other whistles in functions 1 to 9, and the function 4 whistle is probably the worst out of all the whistles in my opinion. There are 4 others from what I can see in the list. It would have been nice to have at least 2 whistle sounds in functions 1 to 9, so that people with basic controllers can use them. Taking up functions 1 to 9, there are certain functions in there which I believe should be further down the list and activated automatically by the chip. These include the injectors, the blower, and the shoveling coal, because surely if you format it correctly and the back EMF is set up off the motor, the engine should know what it's doing at any time. It should know when there's an increased load, so when it's working hard it should get louder, and when it's not working so hard, say going down a hill using hardly any power, it should know to just coast. It doesn't know these things. The shoveling coal should happen if you're working hard with it for ages, it should start doing it automatically. It doesn't. If you've been working the engine hard, then stop it. You should have it blow off automatically, and then the injector come on, and then it's shut up from blowing off, and the injectors run for a realistic length of time All of that could be programmed in. This is the kind of stuff we get in a Tsunami 2 chip, which actually, when you put currency and customs charges aside, is a cheaper chip than the chip that's gone into this. The price hike is bigger from the normal model to the sound model in terms of RRP than a Tsunami chip costs. I'm not saying put a Tsunami in one of these, but I'm saying, Bachmann, get your act together and make it as good as you can, because it feels a bit like you went and recorded the best sounds, you made the best model, and then you just didn't bother to format it. And it shows. You could make something better by just spending a couple of days or an afternoon or whatever with the engineer setting all the parameters up so it does all of this stuff well, and then just copying it to all of the chips as the production line progresses. Anyway, that was full-on rant mode, and I shall let you see it run a little bit more before we close. So in closing remarks, don't get me wrong, I am a huge advocate of sound. I think it's a brilliant thing, and the quality of the sounds themselves is excellent, and there is a huge variety of sounds. It's just the formatting of the chip that's the problem, and unfortunately what it means is, unless you know Zemos inside out and can reformat it and move some of the sounds around on the chip and get it to be a bit more clever, which I don't know if you can, but if you can, then great. You'll find that you'll spend most of your time not appreciating driving it, not enjoying the model itself, but hunched over a controller, looking up and down a list of functions and pressing buttons. And for me, that takes a lot of the fun out of the experience, and I think you can sympathize with that. But I think that this is an opportunity, if anybody from Farish or Bachmann is watching, take this on board. It's very good what you're doing, but just spend a bit more time on the formatting, make it a bit more clever, a bit more realistic, a bit more reactive, and make it so that you spend your time driving and the sounds will do the relevant things. Make the fireman be automatic, do his sounds, or engine related and fireman related sounds, automatically running off of what you're doing as the driver. So if you drive it hard and then don't drive it hard, all of a sudden you'll make excess pressure and it will start to blow off automatically. That would be great. And then to react to that, the fireman would automatically put on the injector. Great. You know, all these sorts of things. These little details make it much, much better and a much more fun experience to drive. rather than sat there going, well, I've just done this, so I should press this button to be realistic and then press this button to be realistic. No. I just feel that falls short of what could be done with this to make it, from a good model to a great model. And it's the attention to detail. With the actual physical model itself, the attention to detail, the engineering is top notch. So why can't the chip match it and be top notch as well in terms of engineering and construction and formatting and so on? Anyway, in conclusion, the 8F is a fantastic model overall. The actual model itself, if you want an 8F, don't hesitate, get one while you can, because to be honest, it's a model not to be missed. I'm not a huge fan of 8Fs. The real things don't really do much for me, but I'm really happy to have one because the quality of the model just makes up for my lack of enthusiasm for the prototype, and it fits in with the theme of my layout. So yeah, recommended. Very, very recommended. I bought mine from Sawyer Models of Lee, and if they're still available from Bachmann, they'll be able to order them for you if you want one. Link will be in the description to their website.